To our lead, the data of millions of T-Mobile customers, including yours truly, breached. Hackers broke into a database containing T-Mobile's customer information run by the credit tracking firm Experian, including social security numbers and addresses. In a statement to Bloomberg West, T-Mobile CEO John Legere told me, quote, "I'm sorry I wasn't able to come on the show today. My first and most important step was full and prompt communication of the issue and immediate support for anyone potentially impacted. I'm disgusted to see a company like Experian breached and our data impacted. We will be really aggressive on this and work to keep the confidence of our customers. Count on it." Joining me now for more here in the studio, Ryan Wager, Global Threat Defense Strategist at vArmor. And Ryan, thanks so much. So I'm a new T-Mobile customer. I'm pissed. What exactly happened here? How did this happen? How did somebody, A, get into Experian and get to T-Mobile records? Were they targeting T-Mobile?
Well, you can't really be sure that they were targeting it, but the problem is that any digital data is being stored in places that these places can't see. And in this case, you actually had data being stored on another company. And so you had a perimeter that was disposed of between two companies. And you can't really make sure that they were going after T-Mobile data specifically, but when they got inside, they found what they were looking for, and they got out.
But, you know, why would it be T-Mobile specifically that's affected? Why couldn't these hackers get data from other companies that Experian is also storing?
I think T-Mobile's just breadth of user base and the amount of information that they were storing about the customers was very unique. They had, millions upon millions of different customers in one location, and it was actually stored in a very small amount of files. They were able to get in, get out, and do it very quickly.
Look, you've told us you're only as secure as your weakest link. So, what is the lesson for T-Mobile CEO John Legere here? How much responsibility does T-Mobile bear?
Well, T-Mobile bears responsibility for what they control within their own data centers, and I would be impressed to know that they were all the way up to the speed of technology on their own. But with this case, it's a matter of how much information do you share with your third parties, and then for me, the consumer, do I even know where my data is being stored when I'm doing these transactions, and are the other people that are all having access to it doing everything they can to keep up with the attack?
And what about Experian?
Experian just needs to take a hard look. I mean, a lot of these companies are
Experian, by the way, has been hacked before, but this was different, right?
They've been hacked, but more in like a social aspect. I think they were tricked into selling some data before, but in this case, this was actually a breach. And so this was a targeted breach where they found the weakest link. They may have started at T-Mobile and worked their way down like a hacker would, found the weakest link, and in this case, it was another business that had access to the location.
Interesting. So what about me? What about customers? What can I do? Or to a certain extent, are we just vulnerable to the businesses and the companies and the wireless carriers that we choose to use?
Well, interesting enough, I know Experian, one of the things they offered was 2 free years of credit identification protection out of this. But I think that we just need to be aware of the fact that when you're putting this data out there, that you need to make sure that you're keeping track of where it's at and when it's at, and then if you need to make changes to it.
But how can I know that?
You ultimately have to trust as a consumer in the businesses that you're handing it. You can take these steps to be monitoring your own credit history, and if you see types of things, there are services that you can employ, and take them very seriously, because this kind of stuff, once it gets out there, it's hard to erase.
All right, Ryan Wager of vArmor, thanks so much for joining us.